So with that in mind, I'm going to ask each of you this. I'll start with you, Cornell. It's homecoming week. What's your favorite homecoming tradition at Tarleton?
Purple pancakes.
Yes.
Purple
All right.
pancakes at midnight on that Wednesday at the dining hall.
In the old
Man.
dining hall. The old dining hall, people.
Yes, the old
That thing was
dining
falling
hall.
apart, man.
Man, but loved it, man. Purple pancakes, just the school tradition. Everybody's there, they're excited. I mean, I just love it, the purple pancakes. Like, I might try to have my wife make me some in memory of homecoming week.
We can still go. I mean, it's open to everyone. Who ate the most pancakes you ever saw on the team in 4 years? Who was the guy they got scared of when they showed up?
Well, you know what? It's not a most likely. It was David Stevens. Dave would ask everybody, hey, you gonna eat your pancakes? You gonna eat your pancakes? You gonna eat your pancakes?
I ain't even started eating, man.
He would do it in an asking way, but you'd be so, you know what? Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead. Go ahead. But he knew I wasn't giving mine up.
I wouldn't say no to him.
Hello. Oh, it's my turn. Hello. My name is Layton. And hello, my name is Case. And we're watching Bleed Purple Nations with my dad. And we're watching Bleed Purple Nations with my dad. Go Dad!
And welcome into the Bleed Purple Nation podcast. I'm your host, Casey Hogan. Again, if you're just tuning in, this is a new podcast. This is episode 4, and really this is built for Tarleton fans by Tarleton fans, and try to keep you updated on all the exciting things happening within Tarleton athletics, and also talk Tarleton history. It's homecoming week. I'm going to ask our guest shortly what their favorite homecoming tradition is, but this is going to be our first Tarleton Legends Show. And before I introduce our guest, just want to ask you if you wouldn't mind following us on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. It is Bleed Purple Nation. So if you like what you're hearing, you like what you're watching, if you wouldn't mind subscribing. Of course, getting our subscriber count up is big, and you can watch on Facebook, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch and listen on Spotify. We're not yet on Apple Podcast. Maybe we can get Coach Reisman to tell us, Cornell, what the best place to be online is. And we're not on Instagram, so maybe Coach can walk us through Instagram. Of course, I'm kidding there, but please subscribe the show. And as we build this up, we had Coach Witten on a couple weeks ago and had 5,500 people watch that episode. So I'm anticipating with these two legends on the show, we can even grow it this week. So let's introduce our guest. This is going to be our first Tarleton Legends Show. So we'll have Legends Show throughout the year where we'll bring on Tarleton Athletic Hall of Famers and legends from Tarleton Athletics. And this is our first ever Tarleton Legends Show. So we have with us a man who probably didn't need a whole lot of introductions. He was a 2019 inductee into the Tarleton Athletic Hall of Fame, winningest head coach in the history of Tarleton State University with 654 wins. And that is the legendary men's basketball head coach and athletic director at Tarleton, Lonn Reisman. Coach, how you doing?
Doing fine, Casey.
Hey, appreciate you joining us. I know you're excited about this. Our second guest is a 4-year letter winner at Tarleton State University, former men's basketball player. We were actually, I don't know if he remembers this, Cornell, but we were actually freshmen in Ferguson together. Who would have thought we'd go from freshman in Ferguson to doing a podcast? And we actually have called some games together. When I was the voice of the Texans, Cornell would jump on every once in a while. But 107 wins, 25 losses at Tarleton in 4 seasons. And honorable mention, Lone Star Conference North selection this season that we're going to talk about in 2004, 2005. Cornell Jones, how you doing, too?
I'm doing great, Casey. Excited to be on here. Excited.
I see you've got the Final Four shirt on and the Cornell Jones jersey behind you, so you are ready to go. And hey, you should be excited, man. This is pretty awesome, as it was announced about a week and a half ago that the 2004-2005 men's basketball team would be inducted into the class of 2026 for the Tarleton Athletic Hall of Fame. So, Cornell, I'll ask you the first question, man. When did you first hear the news, and what was your reaction?
Man, Casey, ironically, I was at my son's basketball practice, and my phone didn't ring, but I got a voicemail. And he had left me a message. Steve had left me a message, and I was like, man, let me call him back, see what he want. Maybe he calling me to talk about the Hall of Fame. Just
As an
right,
individual. No, I'm
just
kidding.
joking. Yeah, because I was like, man, what's going on? But anyhow, I stepped out and gave him a call, and he gave me the great news. So I mean, immediately I sent a message to my wife like, you won't believe this. So that's when I found out actually at my son's basketball practice. So it was a great feeling, though. It's great news.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And did you start kind of like a phone tree? I mean, how did you? There's so many people that were a part of that team between players, trainers, and support staff. Did you start kind of calling folks and telling them, or?
Well, I had a feeling that my phone was going to start going off. So after I talked to my wife, immediately I got a few text messages at Wood, J.D. Robinson, Sheffield, like always texting like, hey, did you get the phone call? Did you get the phone call? So like, it was pretty cool. I had a feeling like we communicate with each other often. So I had a feeling we would be ringing each other's lines. So
That's awesome. And Coach Reisman, you're already in the Hall of Fame as an individual contributor, but this is going to be the first one of your teams inducted to the Hall of Fame, the first men's basketball team ever inducted. What does that mean to you, Coach?
Well, I mean, this was our first team to ever go to the Final Four in the history of the school. This was a team that had to go through some adversity to get to where they ended up on the year. They never quit. They played hard every day. This is one of the few teams you always look for a team to get better late in the year, Casey.
Yep.
And some teams don't. Some teams don't peak. And this team actually, in February, when you're trying to cut practice time down because you're wanting to keep their energy level up for big games, we actually practiced longer because they wanted to. They were getting better. They knew they were getting better. We were adding a few little things into our schemes of things offensively and defensively, and it was a joy to go to practice. It was not going to the dentist. I mean, it was. They came to work every day, and I just loved the enthusiasm and the work they were putting in. That's why they peaked at the right time.
And one of those reasons, of course, was your point guard. And, I was around as a student most of those years. I took 1 year off for a FFA deal where I was traveling the country, but I was around 3 of the 4 years Cornell was on the court. And this is a young man that really, I mean, his freshman year, is it safe to say he was kind of your whipping boy? And a few years later, he turned into one of your big leaders.
Well, Cornell was always vocal, and your point guard has to be a vocal person. And he wasn't afraid of saying what needed to be said in the locker room, or didn't. He wasn't afraid to say something on the floor that needed to be said. He's kind of an extension of me, and definitely, I think he had a lot of respect from the players. Cornell was a team player. It was all about the team and not himself. And that's what made it such a joy to watch him and how he progressed through the years, is that he cared about one thing, and that's one thing was winning, and whatever it took. He was going to do his part, and he didn't mind telling other people, things weren't getting done the way that I wanted them to get done, and I'm on them. I think that, when they're in the locker room by themselves, I think he went on to say, Coach is right. Y'all need to you need to do such and such and such, instead of just saying there, no, he got after him in the locker room and let him know that, that this is what we have to do to be successful. You all need to listen, and you all need to perform.
Cornell, I hope I didn't offend you by calling you the whipping boy, but the only reason I say that is, being a freshman point guard for Lonn Reisman is not easy, is it? Your first year?
no, it's not easy at
There
all.
was a lot of growth, though,
But
wasn't there?
yeah.
And what does it mean to you, man? Did you know, Cornell, that this was going to be the first men's basketball team in the Hall of Fame? And, man, what does that mean for you and the guys? That's a
No,
big
I
deal.
didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know it at all. Man, I actually didn't know that we were the first Final Four team in any sport at Tarleton. So, I mean, just those different accolades are huge. I mean, I can't even express how excited I am just because of the fact that being there 4 years, you're on some. I mean, we were on some great teams. Like we had some great teams. Number one in the nation, both my sophomore and junior year. Like you mentioned earlier, Casey, we hosted the regional tournament my sophomore, my junior year. My first year was the first time us even going to the NCAA tournament. So being on those teams, and then this year, that senior year coming in with so many new players, so many new personalities. But man, like Coach mentioned, it was never easy having so many guys in, not understanding the culture, not understanding the system. So just thinking back all the conversations I had behind closed doors with players, just the expectations that coach had of me and David Stevens to make sure we were pushing our message across and getting that message across and getting those guys to buy in at the right time. I mean, just to have that rewarded, it feels great. That's why I'm so excited because just like coach mentioned, the message was there. They just had to receive it. So putting in that time to where we were all on the same page and seeing the success we had was great.
Absolutely. And
What was your record for 4 years, Cornell?
107 and 25.
hey, you got that memorized. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I do. I do. Not at all, man. Not at all. I remember it so much, Casey, because over the years, I remember Brad used to always call me and he'd be like, hey, so and so is about this close to 107 wins, or so and so is on. And, I remember Mike Harge, I was calling him like, hey, man, go get it, go get it. But they fell a little bit short. So it was always brought up about the 107 and 25 record. Man, just blessed to, first of all, be coached by Coach Reisman and the talent he had on those teams and playing with such great players. So
Now, did Harge, I'm trying to remember. So did Harge surpass you in
no, I
wins
think him and
as a point
Coleman,
guard?
I think they were both either 106 or 105. I think something him and
Okay,
Coleman were
so it
the
was,
closest ones. Yeah.
so you're still the man.
Yeah, right now. Right now.
But hey, I don't want to get too off track, coach, but I think there's a lot of similarities between a guy like Mike Harge that leads you to a couple Elite Eights and a Final Four, and in Cornell, both of those point guards, they were really team first guys, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had some great point guards here. And Cornell was one of them. And your point guard is going to take you to where, I always said the point guard's has got to take you to the promised land. And in the promised land is getting to the Elite Eight. And when we got to the NCAA tournament for the first time, that we were happy. It's first time we're there. But after you've had a taste of that, you want more than that. You want more than that. You want to get to the Elite Eight to have a chance to play for the national championship, and that's where our ultimate goal was every year, is to get to the Final Four and get to that one more step to win the national championship. We came very, very close many, many times, a couple of times.
Yeah. And certainly this is about the 2004 2005 team, but Cornell, that 2002 2003 team you were on, y'all might have been the second best team in the country. The problem is that was that year that Northeastern State and y'all were battling it out. That might have been the national championship game in the Sweet 16, huh?
Yeah, that one there. I remember us watching that game, and that coach got up on the podium and said, "Oh, we beat the best team in the nation when we beat Tarleton State." And I was like, at least he
Wow.
knows we were the best team. But that year we had up until the Sweet 16 game, we had split with them. I think we had lost at their place, and then they had lost at our place. That was that team was talented. It was a special team as well.
That team, coach, in 2004 2005, we were talking about it a little before we started recording, and it seems like some of your best teams that I ever watched or covered or as a fan, broadcaster, whatever, had a lot of adversity earlier in the year and kind of figured it out. And this team in 2004, 2005, y'all started 6-3. And I know you went out to Vegas and you lost a couple games, and you take out 2 NAIA wins, you're 4-3 at that point. Do you remember being concerned? Did you have to make some changes there?
Well, I think you're always looking to what you need to do to make an adjustment. I think that's the big thing in coaching, is that you have to make the right adjustment at the right time. And I knew that there were some things that we had to do coming home if we were going to be a better team. That's what, losing is something I hate to do, but it also makes you dig down deep and know that there's just some decisions that have to make. It can make you reevaluate and make you make decisions that, what can I do to make this team better? And we came home, we made some tough decisions, and this team took off.
You sure did. And it seems like one of the things that always impressed me about Tarleton men's basketball during that 30-year run, but I guess in Division II, coach, 20 to 24 years, is the constant was always Tarleton. You had like Northeastern State was good for a couple of years and they dropped off, right? And then Texas A&M Commerce, we're going to talk a lot about them. They were really good in 2005. And then it was, help me out, it was Central Oklahoma for a few years. And then it was Midwestern State. But it was always Tarleton. And this specific year, the rival, I guess, was really Texas A&M Commerce. Y'all had a couple really tough games. And Cornell, I'll throw it to you first. You played in the regular season and lost by 2 in Stephenville to Commerce, and then you played him again in the Lone Star Conference Tournament Championship game. What do you remember about, before we talk about the big one, what do you remember about those 2 games?
Well, I mean, that year, man, LaShawn Sheffield had joined us, man, and I mean, one heck of a guard, and together we felt like we were two of the best guards, around. And Commerce was getting a lot of publicity for the guards they had. They had a guard, Jamart Miller. They had another guard, Matthew Rager. Just some preseason All Lone Star Conference guards. So we really wanted to get out and show how good we were. And I mean, we felt in each one of those battles that we were right there. They were getting a lot of pub for what they had. So losing those two games, especially the one in Stephenville early on, I think they were undefeated at the time when they came and played us. And their post players got a good slip, laid it up to win that game. And then when we got ready to play them in the conference tournament, same thing. I think they had went undefeated over in the North. They were hosting the conference tournament. So it was another situation where we had really got on a roll, and they were, at that time, the team to beat. I do it in quotation marks because, like you said, they weren't a constant like we were. But there was another one where we really wanted to win to show just how good we were. And I mean, it came down to a last second controversial call. So, I mean, those two matchups really stuck in my head leading up into the regional championship game.
Those two losses, Coach, were by a combined 3 points that Cornell talked about, the regular season and the Lone Star Conference tournament. When you have a controversial ending, I forget what happened in that game, but how tough is that as a coach to, I mean, obviously you're probably not happy that you lost the game on a controversial deal, but you also got to get ready, right, to move on if you make the big dance.
Absolutely. We knew that, we knew we were going to get back to the tournament, the NCAA tournament. That was our ultimate goal. Surely we wanted to win that game. It was very tough. They were undefeated at home that year. I think they were like 18, 15, 16, 17 and 0 at that time. And so we knew that we had an opportunity to go back. Whether we're going to play them or not, who knows? But, there were the two tough losses. But this team was resilient. This team had a lot of character. And this team had tremendous work ethic, and this team had a lot of confidence in themselves. And I knew they did. And I knew what game plan. When you lose a couple of close games, then you go back and you reflect on your game plan and what you're going to change just a little bit. You tweak it a little bit. I don't know if you remember this, but we went into the regional tournament and we beat the Southwest. Who was it? We beat
I got it right here. Central Missouri, and then your alma mater.
Then we beat Pittsburgh State. Well, after the Pittsburgh State game, that's on a Sunday. We won a Saturday, Sunday. You remember, we went home. I loaded them up.
Uh-huh.
We did not stay that Monday over there in Commerce. I took them home. And Chris wanted to bring them home. We brought them home to get in their own bed, and when we could have our own practice to make adjustments in our gym on Monday. And so we came home. We made some adjustments in our offense that we felt like that we could kind of surprise them somewhat. That we took a little piece here, a little piece there out of it, and that way they're probably thinking we're going to do the same thing. And we didn't do quite the same thing, and a couple of little tweaks in there. And I don't think, and then we didn't even go back over there till Tuesday night. I mean, we stayed in our bed on Monday. We had our walkthrough and back at home again, and then we were focused to go back over there. And I just felt like going in there, we had made the couple of adjustments that we were going to need to win that ball game, and we got up in that ball game. We got up in it, and then I think we won at 75-7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all I know is I looked up there behind our bench, and I think we had everybody in Stephenville there at the game.
Everybody, yeah.
We had a tremendous crowd of Stephenville supporters there and Tarleton supporters there that night. The place was packed with us.
Hey, Coach Casey, and let me tell you how.
Yes.
Let me tell you how strategic Coach is, right? So we're driving home, and he turns the radio
after the second
on
round win, right?
Yeah, after the second round win, we're feeling good. He's like, hey, we're going back home. He turns the radio on the bus. Didn't even know the bus had a radio. He turns the radio on, and it's Commerce's coach talking about their win. He goes, we've beaten Tarleton State twice, so we already know what they bring, so we feel confident about that game. And we're listening to that. And I remember I sat up and I looked over at Sean, and he looked at me. He was like, oh, okay. And Big Dave was like, yeah, okay. And then we get to practice on Monday, and Coach he's changing up the scheme. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was strategic. We got
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And that's Sam Walker you're talking about, I guess. Coach, that wasn't very long after Coach Peak retired, was it? I mean, Coach Walker was pretty young in his head coaching career, right?
Coach Walker was just I don't know how many years after Coach Peak left. Of course, he worked for a very good coach. Paul Peak was an excellent coach, and I mean, he came in there and learned a lot from Paul. And Sammy, did a good job. He did a very good job.
Very good.
But I appreciate what you said because and this is a Hall of Fame team. But what I think all of our alumni are most proud of, like Cornell, is that we weren't a 1 or 2 or 3 year wonder. We were a 30 year ball. We had 30 years of people knowing how good Tarleton basketball was, and it wasn't. We were always in contention to win every year.
No doubt. And if you just started tuning in or watching, this is our first Tarleton Legends Show here on the Bleed Purple Nation podcast. I've got a couple members of the 2004-2005 the men's basketball team who was just announced about 10 days ago. They're going to join the Tarleton Athletic Hall of Fame. So wanted to get Coach Reisman and Cornell Jones to jump on and talk with us. And we're kind of in the part now where you're in the NCAA tournament in Commerce, Texas. And Coach, you talked about after the first 2 rounds, which they play Friday, Saturday. No.
Yes.
So you get Sunday off or you get a day off in between. You take the guys back to Stephenville. By the way, you did the same thing at Midwestern State in 2016.
I did.
I stayed in Wichita Falls because I was working for you and had a list of about 20 things to do. So I know this has nothing to do with this team, Cornell, but Midwestern State put us in the absolute worst hotel you could ever imagine being in. But back to this team, you go home and you come back and you're going to play Texas A&M Commerce. And you already talked about that game, Coach, a little bit, the South Central Regional Championship game. And boy, Cornell, I was going to ask you, I was there as a fan. I think I might have started broadcasting the games the next year, but like 2 years after that. So I was there as a student and a fan. That was one heck of an atmosphere in that airplane hangar, wasn't it? I mean, Commerce had a lot of fans, and we had a ton of fans. What was that like to run on the court?
Man, it was exciting, Casey. Like Coach mentioned, we were back home, and that Tuesday morning that we were supposed to leave. I don't know if Coach remember, but I got up real early, like I couldn't sleep because I was so excited. So Coach is always busy. He's coming across Traditions parking lot, and he looks at me. He's like, Cornell, what are you doing up? I said, Coach, I'm excited. He was like, all right, well, save some of that excitement. So we get on the bus and we're getting ready to head to Commerce, and I see Coach and them walking up. So I stand in front of the bus and I look at every guy and I say, hey guys, listen, right now, if you're afraid and you're scared, just get off the bus. I said, all we need is 5. We'll be good to go. So Sean stands up and he was like, yeah, it's time now. David says the same thing. Again, like we were all in unison. And right then I knew, I said, you know what? They ready. So I knew how I felt, and I knew the guys were ready too. And I mean, we couldn't wait to get there. But when you talk about going out and seeing all those fans, and like our fans sitting over by like our fans didn't care. Like they were there to support. They were ready. I mean, it was just like I'm telling you, Casey. Like people may not think this, but you can ask any member in that locker room. I looked at those guys and said, "Hey, we about to do another first tonight, and that's the first ever regional championship. Let's go do it. Just follow my lead." And man, I mean, just the look in those guys, they were so committed to what we were doing at that point, and I just felt good about our chances considering the wrinkles we had put in, and then like both times for Commerce to be considered so good, they had only beat us by a total of 3 points. So I mean, it was more than exciting.
And one guy that had to improve for us to become better was Nick Gamble, Big Nick. I mean, early on, he really struggled with how hard we had to work.
Yeah.
And when he finally bought into how hard he had to go, you have him and David Stevens in there, and you got Randall Williams coming off the bench. You got 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", whatever we had in there. That trio right there. I mean, they were athletic, they were big, they were strong, and they started really gelling together.
I just remember Nick Gamble had a wingspan like you would never see in Division II basketball.
Listen,
one of the biggest hands you've ever seen. He probably almost palmed 2 basketballs.
And Casey, if I can just say, again, it goes to the type of student athlete that was being recruited, right? So on his visit, I remember Nick talking about wanting to be a winner. And when we lost that game in East Central, we came back and like we're sitting outside as myself, David Stevens, and Nick. And this is how you know you got the right guy. He says, guys, what do I need to do? Like, what do I need to do for us to get better? Like, I didn't come here to lose. And literally right there, we were saying the same thing. Like, and Dave had struggled the year before with his weight and different things like that. And he bought into what Coach was saying. And he said, hey man, you just need to buy in, like follow the process, like give it everything you got. I looked at him, I said, hey, man, I'm going to ride with you. If you got to do extra run, whatever, like me and, like, we'll do it. B. Dave, Sheffield, Mentor, any of us, like, we'll do it. But for a guy to want to win that bad, to say, hey, what do I need to do? That was another turning point. Like I say, that just goes to the student athlete that was being recruited. We were bringing in quality individuals who wanted to win. And that him committing to that had a huge change in our team.
Well, I'm glad you brought up that East Central game because I just looked at the schedule, toggled over. So you lose to East Central and Ada that season in January by like 3 or 4. They come to Stephenville. Y'all won by 44.
Yep.
Y'all won by 44 against them the next month, Coach. Needless to say, a little bit of an improvement between us. I know it's tough to play in Wisdom Gym, Coach, but 40.
I think that we were at a point where when we came home, there were some things that had to be. Everything's always an adjustment. Everything's always when you think that you have everything that you need to have already, you're never done as a coach. You're never done. You're always looking for little things that, you're always looking for how to tweak things and what you need to do to maybe just get a little bit better. I've never wanted to be complacent. I wanted to always have an opportunity to take a little piece of something, and if I can find that little piece of something that might make that one player a little bit better, then I will put that little piece into the offense, because what it does, it just stimulates, him to play harder.
No doubt. And back to that game at Texas A&M Commerce, the third time you played them. We talked about the atmosphere going into the South Central Regional Championship game. Coach, you talked about kind of the flow of the game. You ended up winning by 5. But for both of y'all, what was the feeling like when you looked up on the clock and you saw no seconds remaining and you knew you were heading into the Elite Eight? Because there's a lot of pressure. Like, y'all had lost in the NCAA tournament the 2 years before that. It had to be a lot of pressure off your back, right?
And I need to say, and Cornell's going to agree with this, that Coach Reisman might have been the best preparation person that's never coached the game. I mean, I had coaches come up to me before the game and say, you guys got a 10-point lead already just because of that guy sitting over there by you. Because Chris had everything they were going to do, didn't he, Cornell?
Yeah, every single thing.
We used to yell the plays out, but when they were coming down the floor.
Yep, we was beating them to the spot.
Yeah, we knew everything they were going to do. And so, I mean, when you're prepared that well and everybody knows and has the confidence in that preparation, you're going to have a chance to win a lot of ball games.
I mean, Chris is basically, I know him well, he's basically like a scientist, that kind of IQ, being an assistant coach, and he's scouting teams. And
he knows how to dissect something up, and he would dissect it up, and he would implement that dissection. Preparation against what they were going to do offensively, he knew everything they were going to do. He knew every out-of-bounds play, every sideline out-of-bounds play, any set plays they were coming down to run. Cornell would yell out whatever that is and tell everybody knew what they were going to do.
And he actually changed up even our setup on offense where we were breaking out of. And like, I think like the first 4 or 5 possessions, he had a wrinkle for us. And like 2 of the times they thought we were going to Stevens, they were catching me. I was coming off a flare screen and had like 2 or 3 threes like within the first 5 minutes. Then we had a down screen for Sheffield. So when that wasn't open, Sheffield was coming off, and we jumped out. They didn't know what was going on, but we had threw in a wrinkle, like literally on that Monday. We threw in a wrinkle. Coach drew up some wrinkles, man. And we had him. I mean, he even changed the defensive matchups for who their hottest player was. You know, he had moved me over. He said, hey, you're going to go, Rager is the engine that makes everything go. You're going to get him. Sheffield, you'll get Miller. Take them out the game, we win the game. You know, so it was just, I mean, the feeling. And then when the clock hit 0, so as the game got closer,
what was that like, man? Because you had a lot of emotions the previous 2 years, right?
Man, a lot. I mean, when you're expected to you're the number 1 seed and you're expected to get there, you have the pressure. But when you're, number 7 seed, you've beaten number 2, beat number 3, and now you got number 1 to a team that you barely lost to. I remember we had got to about the 3-minute mark, and we're in a timeout, and Coach Reisman says, if you make it close, you know what can happen. He was like, we need to buckle down right now, get stops, and we'll go home. No, he said we'll be going to Grand Forks, North Dakota. That's what he told us. And we looked at each other like, hey, we can't let this be like it was last week. Like, we gotta do it. And I mean, just the feeling to know that they were scrambling around trying to get the shots out. It seemed like the last 10 seconds took forever, like forever.
Doesn't it
But
always?
they hit 0, man. I mean, man, You can't even explain just the relief, the excitement. Just it's so many people you want to go hug. You just think about the struggle that season. Just it was a great feeling, man. I can't even explain it. Like I still get chill bumps. I'm talking about it now and I'm getting chill bumps.
And that's why that when people first came into our program and we try to explain about our program, they probably think things are like, what does that mean to be team, family, belief? What does that mean? I mean, I'm used to saying, let's go play. We always broke our huddles with team, family, belief, because we were a team that became a family that believed in each other. And when you really buy into those three words, things like winning a regional championship, that's what happens when you believe in those words.
And just as a fan, I mean, obviously I have not an athletic bone in my body, but as a fan being at that game, man, it was really one of the best games you'll ever watch, just to be a Tarleton fan. And I think everyone that was there, many of them unfortunately aren't with us today, but man, what a experience it was getting to cut down the net and, one of your rivals, Jim's. And I remember going to the parking lot and I'm not exaggerating. Like you really had to, like, they had police out there. I think Coach Cornell, people don't quite realize these, a lot of people think Division I basketball and Division I's great, but these rivalries at the Division II level, they were intense, and it wasn't real fun as a fan getting to your car that night. I remember that.
Coach,
Man, it
that was the
was.
year they was throwing. I think they was throwing eggs at the bus as we left, and they was still mad.
I mean, we had so many, we have players on our team that could have played at any level, Casey. We could play at any level. And we were fortunate to get some guys that came and played for us. And you know what I was proud about? I'm proud about people like Cornell getting his degree. Sean Sheffield came in and tried to turn his academic life around and got his degree. And you go, you go up the line on all the players that graduated and that are still out there today being successful citizen in their communities that were a part of our program. Cornell's a role model for the students and the people he's coaching over at North Crawley. And that's what coaching's all about, is what they do after they leave you and what have they learned besides basketball. And that's
Cornell, I wish we had a video clip we could insert of Coach on top of the ladder at Commerce when that last little piece of the net had to be, because I don't, it's hard to remember 21 years ago, but I just remember just the pure relief of him just throwing his arms in the air and what that looked like. It was just, I mean, you know what I'm talking about? It was just,
yeah.
it's one of those things it's hard to explain but you'll never forget watching it.
Casey,
He's looking for something there, but
because
what's that?
Like I don't think people understand the time, the effort, the care that Coach Reisman put into every single individual he's ever coached. But I'll tell you what, to be able to win that game and achieve what we achieved, like you can't, like I couldn't put it into words.
Look there it is. Oh,
there it goes.
Oh, there's the glares.
There it goes.
That's it right there. I mean, that's it. That is like,
yes.
And just to be there and see that was.
We did.
You're right. You did it,
man.
I mean,
listen,
there was a lot of. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but there was a lot of pressure. I mean, we've been number one in the nation like 9 weeks, and that was probably not the year everyone thought you would do it, and you did it.
Man, and sometimes it works out like that. It works out like that. And
I mean,
it was
things happen in that NCAA tournament, don't they, boys? I mean,
they do, but you know what? You work hard, and and sometimes hey, anything. You have to always be a little lucky, but you have to be in the right place. You got to be in the right place to win too. Be in the right place to do.
Let's talk about hosting NCAA tournaments real quick, because we talked about many times y'all hosted the 2 years before at Wisdom Gym. You did not host in 2005. Is that I know obviously you always want to host, right? You're at home, it's your fans. I get that. But does that take a little bit of pressure off and the guys can be a little more focused when you're not at home in a tournament, or is that overrated?
Well, when you're at home, there's a lot of pressure. When you're the number one seed, there is a lot of pressure because, your fans are there. You've had a great year. You're the number one seed. And I'll be honest with you, between 1 and 8, there is not a lot of difference sometimes. There's just not a lot of difference. There's some great, you see all the time in the NCAA Division II tournament where 8 will beat a 1. It'll happen. 2 beat 7. I mean, we beat our 7 beat a 2. I mean, so when you're hosting at home, Casey, there's the expectation is you're supposed to win. You're supposed to get it done. And you feel it. That first round is tough. And I've always said the hardest round to win is the first round. The first round to win, I always told the players, I knew in my heart, this is the hardest round. We get through the first round, we're going to make it.
Yeah. What an experience.
First round
Now
with
hey, you're headed, you talked about it earlier. Cornell said you told everyone in the huddle that 5 minutes away from going to Grand Forks, North Dakota. So, Cornell, you go to Grand Forks, North Dakota. What was it like, man? Just that whole experience of going to an Elite Eight.
Well, I mean, it was something that for the previous 3 years that you know, to be honest, especially the previous 2 years, it was something we had expected to do. Like that's where we were gonna go, and we never achieved it. So to do it, man, I kid you not, Casey. That's team family believe, man. That's why I love Tarleton. Like literally, as we're taking the trip, I'm getting so many messages from former players, like, "Hey, go get it. Hey, congratulations, represent. Hey, let's do this. Hey, proud of you guys." You know, just getting those messages. But it was cool. I mean, they treat you well. You know, you got
Yeah.
all these different things. I remember coach like, "Hey, we got this and we got this and then we got." I'm like, "Oh, this is
You got
cool."
a host family,
Yeah,
like, showing you
yeah,
around. And
like man, like so it was unbelievable. And I mean, when you talk about, I mean, thankful enough. Every year I got to achieve something, whether it was the first year in the NCAA tournament, second year being number one in the nation, third year winning the conference tournament championship, and then winning a regional championship, going to the Elite Eight. I mean, that was such a new experience, and it was great, man. Like I can't even put it into words. Even though we were going to Grand Forks, North Dakota, where it was like 100 feet of snow. It was still a great experience, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. I remember listening. So the Elite Eight game was Cal Poly Pomona. We're going to talk about that. I remember there's no way as a student I could afford to go to North Dakota, so it was kind of depressing. But we sat around and listened on the radio because back then you didn't get on TV till you made the Final Four. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
So the
Right.
Elite Eight game, there was no. I don't even know if there was live stats. Maybe there was, but the only way you could follow the game was to listen on the radio to Dr. Newsom. I remember sitting around the AGR house listening, just, I mean, ears to the speaker to every, I mean, I don't know, there's some kind of experience when you're listening on the radio. It's old school and it's nerve wracking and you can't see anything, so you're visualizing it. And Coach or Cornell, tell us a little bit about that Cal Poly Pomona game because it was wild, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Don't fight
Casey,
each other. No kid.
does it say were they a number one seed also? Were they
Man, I
does it
didn't
show?
honestly didn't. I
Okay.
did not
I
even.
believe they were another number
They
one
might have
seed.
been.
And again,
I think
when
they
we went
were
there, yeah, we were the lowest seed. I mean, as a seven
eight.
seed, I think. Yeah, I mean, so again, it was another game we weren't expected to actually even to compete in. And I mean, it was a tough game. I mean, I think we came out nervous from the get go, just being in that different type of situation. But I mean, at that time, it was a back and forth game with them leading for most of the game, and seriously, like we looked at each other at one time out, and we was like, "Hey, did we come all the way down here for one and done?" You know. And I think, like I mentioned, I think with like 2 minutes to go, we maybe were down like 8 or 9, and then we just make a run and. I think they turned the ball over. Coach calls timeout, draws the play, draws up our switch play. We run it to almost perfection, get Sheffield. He comes off, pull up jumper, bucket. Ball game. Let's go.
Yeah. I think the thing that in that game is that they played a zone for almost 40 minutes. Remember, we hadn't seen a lot of zone in the Lone Star
Right.
Conference. A lot of zone defenses, and Cal Poly Pomona was known. They were known for their zone, the way they ran their zone defense. I mean, matchup or whatever you want to call it. They were known for that, and we looked at that going in there, knowing that we had played against a lot of zone all year long, and and so I think early on we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do against it. And I think we got into our press late in the game when we were down, and they really struggled against the pressure of the press. And they turned it over. We got some buckets real quick, and finally got that game tied with I think it was about 10 seconds to go. I know we called timeout with 10 or 15 seconds to go, and we were going to run that switch play. I believe it was the switch play for Sean, and we wanted to get the ball in his hands. Cornell got the ball in his hands, and he knew what to do with it.
Yep.
You know what?
Yeah, LaShawn Sheffield, didn't he? And I think he was there 2 years, right?
He was there 2 years. Yes.
But he made a ton of big shots and maybe
And
no
I've
bigger
got
than that game.
The beauty of it is this: I got Cornell coaching up in North Crawley, and I got Sean coaching over in Eastland. I mean, I just watch all these guys grow and their families and their children and what they've
JD's
done in
coaching
their
somewhere, isn't
lives.
he?
Yeah, just done a great job. Both of them have done a great job.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
I have to ask you, as a very amateurish journalist about the Final Four game. I know it. little heartbreaking, but just to get there was a heck of an accomplishment. You take on Bryant, you lose 60-55. Coach, what do you remember about that game?
Well, the thing in that game that disturbed me the most, and that's the year after I got on the rules. I was getting on the rules committee. If you remember that, because they called a technical foul on Gamble. It's for
That's
hanging
right.
on the rim.
I
Hanging
remember
on the
that. Yeah.
Now, that is an indirect technical. That should not be a personal foul. And that gave him a personal foul and gave him 3 in the first half. I had to take him out of the game. And that was a turning point because we were actually ahead when he came out. We were ahead. It was close, but we were ahead. He got, and I kept telling him that is an indirect. That is not no. That's a personal foul. I went to the rules when I went to the NCAA champion. When I went to the NCAA convention for NABC, I brought that up, and I was right. That should have not been a personal foul. That changed the complexion of the game because the officials don't know the rule. And I reminded the committee of that the next year. I mean, because I think we got into the second half and he drew his 4th one really fast. And that he was playing well at that time. Nick was playing well at that time, and that was a crucial situation because we only lost by 5, and it was a very close game the whole way. And you take a young man of his caliber out of the game who was playing well. That those things should not happen in a Final Four game. Those should not happen, and you should know the rules. And that one part of it. Back in those days, that's what it was. It was not a personal foul. It was an indirect back in those days. And I think it was a hanging on the rim, Cornell. I can't remember exactly what it was. That's what it was. And so I just know that bothered me. And it bothered me for a long time that whole year, knowing that, have to take him out with 3 fouls and not be, we got 3 at your 4th. You're not able to play the way you want to play at times. And so that bothered me. And I knew we were capable of beating that team because I thought we played a very good team to beat Cal Poly to get to that game.
Cornell, what do you remember? What do you remember? I know these things are hard to think about. It was a heck of a season, a historic season. What do you remember about after the game and maybe what coach's message was to you? Because I wasn't there, but I imagine you're disappointed, but it's also a hell of a season.
It was man, it was crazy because, you know, 3 previous years season had ended earlier than what was expected. And you kind of like, man, we should have did better. Man, I kid you not, like I remember us losing that game and coach comes in and before even coach comes in, I'm looking at David Stevens and he tells me, he was like, hey man, it was a pleasure playing with you. Like he's like, I'm not even mad, man. We gave it all we could. And I told him, hey, pleasure playing with you too, man. I thank the guys, like, hey, love you guys, man, and thank you. Thank you for this ride. And that's what Coach came in. I mean, you talk about a team that gave it all. Like we literally we did. I mean, we felt very confident. To Coach's point, like I think that's one of the most frustrating things because Brian's coach made the comment afterwards that he hadn't seen big man that dominant since they played an exhibition game against UConn. And that tells you just how dominant Dave and Nick were. In case I went over this game a million times, I do it all the time.
I
So,
bet.
you
I
know,
bet.
we end up losing that game. I mean, 60-55. You talk about myself, Sheffield, and Stevens having 49 or 55 points because our 4th wheel was in foul trouble, unfairly, on one of those fouls, sitting him down. But that was a team that, like I said, when Coach them made the adjustments, we depended heavily on on the scoring from us 4. And missing that piece really hurt when you talk about how dominant he was to where their coach made the comment that he hadn't seen 2 bigs that dominant since the exhibition game against UConn. Just unbelievable to lose a piece like that. So again, we had given everything we could. So it was a situation where coach came in and he was seriously said it. Hey, hell of a season. You guys did everything I asked you guys to do to give it your all. He was like, I want you to hold your heads up. He said, I want you to understand you represented Tarleton well. You represented us good. He said, I'm proud. And like, you feel good because as a player, that's what you want your coach to say, hey, you guys did what I asked you to do. So that was his message. And it really went over well because, again, we just hugged each other and thanked each other because we felt that we had really given everything we possibly could give.
Well,
Yeah, it was
Casey, when
yes.
you got to remember, when you go to the Final Four, that's only 4 teams left in the whole country.
That's it.
I
Out
mean,
of 300 and something.
yeah. There's only 4 teams in the whole nation that are playing. People have put up their stuff. They put their stuff in the dry cleaners a month ago, and you're still one of the 4 survivors of a long, tough grind season. And you've got to understand. There's people that have never been to a Final Four. There are people that will never get to a Final Four, and that's how hard it is to get to a Final Four. And let this group who's going into the Hall of Fame experience something that special that very few people will ever get an opportunity to play in a Final Four game. I think it says a lot for this team and what they accomplished, and I couldn't be more proud of them. And they made me a good coach. I can tell you that they made me a good coach because they played and they worked so hard and they took care of their business off the floor. I was very proud of this team.
They finished 25-10, first team to ever make the Elite Eight, first team to ever make the Final Four, and really paved the way for. You wouldn't know it at the time, but you'd end up making 3 more trips to the Elite Eight, and this team really, blazed the trail there, and so definitely deserving to go into the Tarleton Athletic Hall of Fame. So heck of a season. Before I let you go, I'd be.
Do you have the roster of that team? Do you have your roster?
I don't know.
I was trying to think.
Y'all are so old, they don't even keep rosters anymore. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. It's somewhere, but I don't.
Yeah,
I know David Stevens obviously averaged 15 and 9 and was
right.
LSC North Player of the Year.
And so it was a fabulous year. Proud of the team, and I think it's something that it just caps their career off what they accomplished in their careers at Tarleton, and they can take this Hall of Fame and bring their families down, and it'll always be there for them to talk about.
And at Cornell, we talk about the Cornell Joneses, the David Stevens, the Nick Gambles, the LaShawn Sheffields. Y'all were huge. I mean, but there was guys on that roster that didn't play a lot but played a big role, didn't they?
That preparation guy prepared us.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about the Dustin Minners, the J.D. Robinson, Randall Williams, Chris Dixon, Richard Francis. Man, these guys to come in and give the effort that they did in the practices. Like I said, once we got to the point where everybody was balled in, everybody was giving what they could to make sure we were good. And I mean, I remember I started with all the guards, I started a thing myself, Atwood, Enter, Dixon, Francis said, hey guys, we got to help the big guys out rebound, for every guard, whoever leads the guards in rebounding, right? Everybody gives $2 to that guy. You know what I mean? Just so we can say, hey, who's going in and I mean, it wasn't just $2, but it was just the commitment, like, hey, we got to go in and rebound with these guys. And that was the type of stuff to have a team and to have some guards who like, hey, let's do it and get that challenge to where you don't look up and it's just not, Randall, Dave, and Nick going to rebound, really showed that everybody was committed to do what they needed to do in order for us to be successful.
They all had their specialties defensively. Cornell loved to take charges.
Yep. I remember that. Hey, $2 was a lot back in 2005. That was like 20 drinks at Bostock's, man, back then. Not that you and I ever went there, Coach. You know better than that. But $2 was a $2. Hey, I have to ask y'all about homecoming week because first off, it's midnight. We're recording this on Monday night, and tonight is actually Midnight Madness for Tarleton men's basketball. And how do I say this about Midnight Madness? It was fun, but God, I'm glad I don't have to be there at midnight tonight. Because when you we're getting a little older, but it's homecoming week, which is always a great week. And one thing I always, Coach, respected about Cornell is he was one of those players on your team that he wasn't just there for a year, or not that there's anything wrong with that, but Cornell was a Tarleton Texan. I mean, everybody on campus knew him. He was kind of a celebrity on campus. He was an outgoing guy, and he loves Tarleton. I mean, look at him. And that's one thing, I don't know that that's a question, but one thing I always loved about Cornell Jones is you won't find too many people that love Tarleton more than this guy. So with that in mind, I'm going to ask each of you this. I'll start with you, Cornell. What was your favorite homecoming? It's homecoming week. What's your favorite homecoming tradition at Tarleton?
Purple pancakes.
Yes.
Purple pancakes at midnight on that Wednesday at the dining hall. Unbelievable.
In the old dining hall. The old dining hall, people.
Yes, the old
that thing was falling apart, man.
Man, but loved it, man. Purple pancakes, just a school tradition. Everybody's there. They're excited. I mean, I just love it. The purple pancakes, like just, I might try to have my wife make me some in memory of homecoming week.
We can still go. I mean, it's open to everyone. Who ate the most pancakes you ever saw on the team in 4 years? Who was the guy that they got scared of when they showed up?
Well, you know what? It's not a most likely. It was David Stevens. Like Dave, Dave would ask everybody, "Hey, you gonna eat your pancakes? You gonna eat your pancakes? You gonna eat your pancakes?"
I ain't
Hey,
even started
and
eating, man.
he would do it in an asking way, but you'd be so, you know what? Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. But he knew I wasn't giving mine up.
I wouldn't say no to him. Coach, what was your favorite? I mean, you were at Tarleton you'll have to help me out here, as an administrator and coach for what, 36, 38 years? What was your favorite tradition
36
at
years, I
homecoming?
guess.
So you've been around a lot of homecomings. What did
Yeah,
you
I've done
like about homecoming?
a lot of homecomings. I think that what I enjoyed the most is, to be honest with you, I enjoyed the weekend when we kicked off a football game. I mean, I enjoyed going out there and knowing that we're getting close to basketball season. You know,
You
there's a
don't
lot
have
of
to
times,
be biased. You can be biased now, right? So,
but what I like that a lot of times, in case you were there at that time, a lot of our midnight madness was during homecoming week. And when it was, that would be my favorite time because I love to see, what I liked about it is the guys were up to 1 a.m. That means I could really pound on them the next day. When they came in, I don't want to hear the word tired. I was up at 1 o'clock too. And I would love to have them come in because I was going to put them through one vicious practice that next day because I wanted to start forming mental toughness right there. And we started the 14 days right about that time of what it was going to be like when we came in there. It was a time where we could, get into practice the next day and get after it. So
Hey, Casey, you notice
yes.
I did not say that that was my favorite time at all because after Midnight Madness, like you're trying to get undressed and get back to the door. After my first year, I used to tell guys, hey, as soon as it's over, you might want to shower, go home and get in the bed because it's going to be on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I said that
This
first day of
this
practice
what
wasn't
this
my,
wasn't your first rodeo, huh? I mean,
no, not at all.
yeah, yeah. And I'm at homecoming week at Tarleton is special, and boy, everybody taking a
what
part
was
in
yours,
it.
Casey? What was your favorite?
Hey, I appreciate you. I was thinking about this earlier. Even though as I got older, I hated hearing it, probably Beat the Drum. Thought that was
Beat the
pretty
drum.
cool. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
how many schools
Oh,
sit around and when did Beat the Drum? Gosh, I should know this.
I don't
It
know, but it started
started,
on
it's,
what is
did
it?
it start
It
at
started on Wednesday night or something like that
it
until the
started
kickoff.
after Yale contest, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yell
that
contest was
wins.
great.
And it went all the way to kicks. Remember, Troy and them would have to help the drum they had to, while they're
Yep.
walking to the stadium, they're still beating it because you had to beat it until kickoff, remember?
Right. Right.
I
Right.
thought that
Right.
was, I mean, how many schools do that? And the student organizations would, Cornell, if you remember, there was a sign up sheet and, AGR would do it for an hour. Pecos would do it for an hour.
Yep.
The sporting
Everybody.
team, softball would do it for an hour, remember?
Yep.
I just thought it
Everybody.
was, but it's hard
Yeah.
to really say one. I mean, the bonfire was awesome. There was a thing called, I don't know if they still do snake dance, but we used to snake dance. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so
Yeah. I
many
think.
neat things.
Yeah.
Remember the
Yeah.
old snake dance that,
Yep.
and some of the
No, people.
things,
Man, wow.
I don't think people remember cruising the island back in those days when the island, of
Oh,
course, that just.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
I
you
probably
can't
just thought
cruise the
about
island no
that.
more. You got
That wasn't homecoming. That was Howdy Week. But
I can.
boy, but
Yeah, we know.
Cornell yeah, it was a fun night. I mean, I remember there was some trucks that with pools, and remember they'd fill the back of the truck up with water, Cornell, and
man. Yeah, I remember that was that was
uh,
crazy, man.
it
Yeah.
was it was Cruzy Island was, man, that's one of those you hated to see go away. It was pretty special. But man, homecoming week, I've kept you guys for a long time. The induction ceremony will be sometime in May, and I know Cornell and I know Coach just getting everybody back together and spending a weekend together. That's gonna be pretty fun, right?
That'd be
Yeah.
great. It'll be great seeing
Yep.
I'm
everybody.
excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, can't wait. And of course, there will be a lot more coverage on the 2004-2005 men's basketball team as this kind of 7-month runway into the Hall of Fame induction. Boy, what a special interview. I've kept you guys for a long time. It's so dark that I need to get podcast lighting, and Coach Reisman looks like he's in a dungeon because we started this thing when it was
Yeah.
no, it's not your fault. We started this thing when it was light outside, and there's the I'm
That's
getting
the
I'm getting
alarm. Yeah,
PT
that's
I'm get I, no, I'm getting PTSD at him on the front row of the bus, and his phone would ring like 5 minutes after a game, and he'd say, "Well, yep, yeah, we played, yep, well, we, they He's usually hooting, I think they would call him after a game, wasn't it?
Yep, it might have been.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
might have been it.
yeah. Well, hey, we have to have a whole nother podcast. So
Well,
many great stories, but
and I want to say that, I'm really proud of what Jason's done today too. Jason Hooten, he was a part of
yep,
this staff for a long time, and he was instrumental in the recruiting of it. And he was instrumental in the preparation of of this this staff. And Jason is the head coach in New Mexico State now, and is a very proud member of our family. And he was responsible. Another assistant coach that was responsible, for helping us recruit this pro to where it was today. And I think Cornell, he left just before you started coming in, and so I'm wishing.
was he there? Wasn't he
That was
there one
my
of your years?
remember, Coach, he left after my junior year.
Yeah,
Yep, the year before he left, and I remember you calling me in, man. That was one of the toughest conversations right there because he had been with us for 3 years. But yeah, he was at the
He didn't get to go to the Final Four that next year. We went to the Final
no,
Four.
he was yep, he didn't, and that
Yep.
was one of the toughest things. But he was there at the game, and after the Commerce game,
Yeah,
when
he
we were
was there.
coming out, he came in and gave me a hug, and I mean, he was super excited, but not seeing him like him having to walk away and not be a part of the celebration. I was thinking, oh, man, but
yeah.
thank you,
That's
Coach.
Down deep, he was a big part of
yeah,
our program
man.
too. So
Yes, yes.
Left to go to Sam Houston and became the head coach there and did very, very well. And now he's a big time Division I head coach at a program with a lot of tradition out in
Yep, he sure is. So
New
it's great.
Mexico State. So many people that played a big
A
part
part.
of this. And boy, we could be here all night, but I got to go tuck the twins in before my wife divorces me. So, but I know that y'all got a lot going on, a lot. I know you're coaching Cornell, you're raising a family, Coach. You're
Yep.
doing so many things. I can't even keep up with you. But, gentlemen, thank you so much for
Take care, Casey.
joining the podcast. And we relived a lot of great memories tonight and look forward to hopefully being there in May and reliving a few more. So, appreciate both of you.
Take care. God bless you guys.
All right, thank you, Casey.
All right, Cornell. This is the Bleed Purple Nation podcast. Thanks to Cornell Jones and thanks to Lonn Reisman for joining us. Remember to like the show on Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And have a great homecoming week. Look forward to the game against West Georgia on Saturday from Memorial Stadium. We'll break down that. We'll have more analysis on episode 5. So long, everyone.
Sound straight.